On May 10, 2007, in a peaceful village called Klara in the Czech Republic, something very unsettling happened during a normal evening. A father eager to ensure his newborn baby was safe decided to set up a CCTV baby monitor. Little did he know that this would lead to a series of events that would haunt him forever. As he anxiously watched the monitor screen, hoping to see his sleeping baby in the crib, he instead saw something horrifying. The CCTV picked up a different signal from nearby. What he saw was shocking. A young boy, barely dressed, with his arms cruelly tied behind his back. The boy looked extremely thin and weak, desperately searching for food on the floor. The father was deeply disturbed by the boy's malnourished appearance, and it left him with troubling questions. He wondered which of his neighbors the video feed was coming from, and who this young boy on the monitor was. Hello, I'm Jerry, and welcome back to Bizarre Cases. Today, we're exploring the story of Klara Mauerova, the mother with a disturbing secret. But before we dive into the mystery, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel by clicking the subscribe button and the bell icon below. Klara is a charming town located in the Their County district in the South Moravian region of the Czech Republic. It has a population of about 11,000 people today and has a close-knit community atmosphere. This lovely place is known for its historical landmarks like Liz's Castle and the Church of St. Mary Magdalene, which attract history enthusiasts from various places. And it's here that our story begins. Back in 2005, in the small town of Klara, Czech Republic, there were two sisters, 31-year-old Klara Mauerova and her elder sister Katarina Mauerova, who was 33 years old. We don't know much about their early lives, but Klara had a degree in teaching methods, and Katarina worked at a youth center. What caught people's attention was their shared belief in a divine mission or calling from God that would shape their destinies. Klara was a single mother responsible for two boys, Jacob, age 9, and his younger brother Andrew, who was 8. Klara had been married before, but details about her husband, the length of their marriage, and the reasons for their separation remain unclear. Some thought her unusual behavior and beliefs, possibly related to her battle with schizophrenia, led to the breakup. Despite her challenges, those who knew Klara admired her as a loving and caring mother. She took excellent care of Jacob and Andrew, creating happy memories by playing with them, taking them on vacations, and enrolling them in summer camps. However, their peaceful life changed when a new child entered their lives, and from that moment on, things would never be the same for Klara, Jacob, and Andrew. The new child was a 13-year-old Norwegian orphan named Annika, who had a connection with Katarina, Klara's sister. We don't know all the details of how they met, but it's possible they crossed paths at the youth center where Katarina worked. One day, Katarina brought Annika to visit Klara, and Annika revealed that she was running away from a dangerous trafficking gang in Norway. She had suffered greatly at the hands of these criminals. As Annika shared her heartbreaking story, Klara felt sympathy and concern for her. This moment brought the family closer, and they welcomed Annika into their home. Over time, Annika's presence in Klara's home grew, and she portrayed herself as a frail and sickly child who needed constant medical attention. Strangely, she only trusted Katarina to take her to the hospital, raising questions about this selective trust. Despite the mystery surrounding Annika, Klara embraced her as part of the family, becoming a loving mother figure to her. Meanwhile, something else was happening in the background. Klara and Katarina joined a cult called the Grail Movement, led by a man named Joseph Skrla. This cult believed that performing good deeds could secure a place in heaven and protect them from the consequences of any crimes they committed. It's not clear how, when, or under what circumstances Klara and Katarina joined this group. As they became more involved in the Grail movement, they realized that their newfound beliefs came with unexpected and blurred moral consequences, pulling them into a world where right and wrong became unclear. Shortly after Annika became part of the family, Klara started receiving strange texts and emails from an unknown sender who claimed to be a doctor with a perfect treatment plan for Annika. These messages were mysterious but convincing, urging Klara to meet the doctor in person, which they did in a car late at night. The doctor showed Annika's medical records and even a diplomatic passport, which made Klara trust him as Annika's official doctor. Little did she know that this meeting would lead to a series of unsettling events. Over time, the messages from the doctor took a bizarre turn. He suggested strange treatment plans, like asking Klara to rub Annika's body, especially her private areas, for hours, claiming it would make Annika happy. This was very strange and uncomfortable. As days passed, Klara's focus shifted away from her sons, and she began leaving them with their grandparents. This change coincided with Klara's desire to adopt Annika into their family. However, a strange twist occurred when the doctor told Klara that adoption would be impossible due to her sons allegedly mistreating Annika. It's unclear if this accusation was true or a manipulation tactic. Confused and torn, Klara turned to the doctor for advice. Shockingly, he suggested a disturbing solution: curing her sons of evil spirits through extreme discipline, tough love, and physical punishments. In a surprising turn of events, Klara began disciplining her sons with extreme severity, as if she was looking for any excuse to hurt them. She resorted to beating them with her hands, wooden spoons, belts, and even locking them in small rooms overnight. It was shocking and heartbreaking to witness. Klara's actions had taken a dark turn, and it was difficult to understand why. Perhaps her struggle with schizophrenia played a role, clouding her judgment and making it easier for her to carry out these drastic measures. Regardless of the reasons, Klara's family was now trapped in a cycle of pain and turmoil. The once loving mother seemed lost, consumed by a darkness that had taken over her. The future was uncertain, and the question remained whether there was a way to break free from this disturbing cycle and find light amidst the darkness that had engulfed them. In August 2006, something incredibly strange and disturbing occurred. The doctor who had been advising Klara about her sons dropped a shocking bombshell. He claimed that Klara's punishments for her sons weren't effective. In a surprising twist, he suggested an even more extreme idea. He told Klara to stop being their mother altogether. This idea was astonishing and bewildering, but Klara decided to follow the doctor's instructions. But that's not the most shocking part. The doctor also suggested taking them to a small cottage in Ververska Vitiska, a remote place in the woods, far away from anyone's view. This secluded spot was only a short 13-minute drive from their home in Kurum. Klara was torn between this bizarre advice and her desperate need to help her sons. In the end, she chose to go along with it and took her boys to the isolated cottage. When they arrived at the cottage, they were met by Klara's sister, Katerina, along with two men named Jan Skrula and Jan Churek. Another woman, Hanna Basova, whom Klara knew from a previous summer camp, was also present. This seemingly innocent gathering at the cottage marked the beginning of an unimaginable ordeal for the two young boys. The cottage became a witness to unspeakable horrors and unimaginable cruelty inflicted upon innocent souls who deserved nothing but love and care. The boys were locked inside tiny dog cages that were so small they couldn't stand or move much. To make matters worse, they were forced to eat from dog bowls and use the bathroom in the cages, leaving them sitting in their own filth. But the cruelty didn't stop there. The boys were forbidden to talk to each other, their mother, or anyone else present. The mental torture was unbearable. Then came the water torture. Klara would dunk their heads underwater for what felt like an eternity, making the boys fear they might drown. To add to their suffering, Katerina would hold their arms behind their backs, leaving them defenseless against their own mother's cruelty. It's sickening to think about the pain and suffering these boys endured. The abuse extended further. They were scratched with forks, forced to fight each other, and tied up like animals. It wasn't just Klara and Katerina who carried out this abuse. The others joined in as well. They tied bags around the boys' heads, cutting off their air and further tormenting them. But the horrors didn't stop there. At one point, they even cut flesh from Anders' buttocks and burned the wound with cigarettes. Unbelievably, they made him eat his own flesh, and the others also joined in eating the raw human flesh. The depravity of it all is just beyond words. They didn't stop at just one act of savagery. They continued by taking skin from other parts of the boys' bodies, forcing them to eat their own flesh. And if that wasn't enough, they even made them eat their own vomit. The boys' screams must have been unbearable, so they made sure to take their mouths shut to silence them. In September 2006, Klara decided to pursue the adoption of Annika once again, and this time she succeeded. Following this, Klara made a shocking decision to hand over her own sons to Katerina. She believed it would be better to focus solely on caring for Annika, whom she thought needed extra attention. However, in January 2007, things took a dark and terrifying turn. The boys and Katerina moved back in with Klara, and that's when the nightmare began anew. This time, their abuse was even worse. Klara locked them up in a cement cellar, treating them like prisoners in their own home. The horrors that began at the cottage now haunted them every day. To make matters even more distressing, Klara installed a TV baby monitor in the cellar, allowing her to observe and revel in her son's suffering from the comfort of the kitchen. Meanwhile, Annika lived in a completely different world, in her own brightly lit bedroom filled with toys, seemingly oblivious to the torment her brothers were enduring. For several months, the boys remained chained in that dark and desolate cellar. They were trapped in a cycle of suffering, and there seemed to be no escape for them. Then, on May 10, 2007, the truth that had been hidden for far too long finally came to light. It all started when a man named Edward, who lived near Klara's family home, set up a CCTV baby monitor for his newborn son. These monitors can sometimes pick up signals from nearby monitors, and that's exactly what happened on that fateful day. Instead of seeing his own son's crib on the monitor, Edward was met with a disturbing sight. There was a young boy completely naked, with his arms and legs tied up behind his back. The young boy he saw was Ander. He looked dirty, unhealthy, and was eating off the floor, with a woman's hand feeding him. Edward was understandably alarmed and immediately called the police. The authorities went to Klara's home, determined to find the source of this disturbing footage. When they reached Klara's house, things took a sinister turn. Klara and Katerina refused to open a locked door within their house. This raised serious concerns, so the firefighters stepped in and broke down the door. What they found inside was nothing short of a nightmare. There were the two boys, battered and malnourished, locked away like prisoners in a cement cellar. Klara and Katerina were swiftly arrested for their horrifying actions, and the two boys, along with Annika, were taken to a children's home. Days later, Annika disappeared from the children's home. As the investigation progressed, the authorities stumbled upon a revelation that shook the very foundation of the case. Annika, the supposed 13-year-old girl, was not who she claimed to be. In a startling twist, it was uncovered that Annika was, in fact, a 33-year-old woman named Barbara Skrylova. Barbara had been able to deceive everyone by exploiting her condition called hypopituitarism, which made her appear much younger and smaller than her actual age. It was a con that allowed her to assume the identity of a vulnerable teenager and gain entry into Klara's family. Barbara's deception added a new layer of intrigue to the unfolding story, raising questions about her true intentions and the reasons behind her infiltration into Klara's family. The truth was far more complex than anyone had anticipated, and the authorities now had to untangle the web of deceit surrounding this mysterious woman. For 8 long months, her whereabouts remained a mystery, leaving everyone wondering what had become of her. Then, out of the blue, she resurfaced in the city of Tromsø, Norway. As the pieces of her journey were put together, it was revealed that after fleeing the children's home, Barbara, posing as Annika, first went to Denmark before finding her way to Oslo, Norway. To successfully enter Norway undetected, she used the passport of a 13-year-old boy named Adam Farner, which had been supplied by the boy's parents. In an astonishing display of deception, Adam's parents went to great lengths to convince authorities that Barbara was, in fact, their son. To add further credibility, Adam's father, Martin Farner, even accompanied Barbara to Norway, reinforcing the illusion. Once in Norway, she assumed the identity of Adam, taking extreme measures like shaving her head and concealing her true self to deceive teachers, police, and childcare workers, who were all unsuspecting of her real age. With her new persona, she managed to gain admission into a school. However, it wasn't long before history repeated itself, and she ran away again. She found refuge in a Norwegian children's home. Then, on December 16, 2007, she mysteriously vanished from the home. Eventually, she was found on January 5, 2008, and her true identity was exposed. The authorities learned the shocking truth about the woman posing as a young boy. She was subsequently deported back to the Czech Republic to face charges related to her fraudulent identity and to be put on trial for her involvement in the abuse of the innocent children of the family she had once pretended to be a part of. The man who aided her, Martin Farner, also faced his own reckoning. He was arrested and confronted with charges in Norway for providing false testimony in support of a deceitful act. During the trial, which took place in June 2008, Barbara claimed that her actions were driven by a desire to escape her own troubled life. However, she denied any participation in the abuse of Andrew and Jacob, insisting that she was also a victim of Klara and Katarina's violence. Despite her claims, her defense was met with skepticism, and few believed her side of the story. During the court proceedings, Klara tearfully confessed to torturing her sons. She, however, claimed that she had been under the influence of the mysterious figure known only as the doctor. She told the court about how this doctor had manipulated her through text messages, instructing her on the abuse and torture she could inflict on her boys. However, the police later made a startling discovery. There was no doctor at all, and the phone number linked to the man belonged to none other than Katarina, Klara's own sister. It became apparent that Katarina had played a cunning role in this dark saga. Evidence suggested that Katarina had known about Barbara's true identity long before she introduced her to the family as the supposed 13-year-old Annika. Instead of revealing the truth to her sister, she deliberately kept the secret hidden, knowing full well how easily Klara could be manipulated. It was a sinister plan that had far-reaching consequences, leading to the suffering of innocent children at the hands of those they should have been able to trust the most. The courtroom was left grappling with the shocking revelations as everyone tried to understand the motives behind such distressing actions. Now guys, brace yourself for the most unexpected twist in this already bewildering tale. It was revealed that Joseph Skrilla, the leader of the Grail movement cult, was, in fact, Barbara's biological father. As the puzzle pieces fell into place, it became evident that Joseph had played a significant role in the unfolding events. He was the one who had provided the documents shown to Klara on that fateful night inside the car. But that wasn't the end of the surprises. Jan Skrilla, one of the men Klara had encountered at the Ververska Betiska cottage, where her sons had suffered unimaginable torture, turned out to be Barbara's brother. These shocking revelations only intensified the already chaotic and messy affair. Whether Joseph was ever found remains a mystery, but justice was served for the others involved. Klara was sentenced to 9 years in prison, while Katarina received a 10-year sentence. The remaining individuals connected to the cottage ordeal received sentences ranging from 5 to 7 years. Barbara, who had also played a pivotal role in the disturbing events, was sentenced to 5 years behind bars. However, she was released after serving half of her sentence, thanks to her lawyer's successful argument about her deteriorating psychological well-being during her time in prison. Following her release, the judge imposed 5 years of probation on Barbara. The fate of the two boys, Jacob and Andrew, remains uncertain, but there are rumors that they were eventually adopted by an American family. In the aftermath of this harrowing case, the children's lives were forever changed by the haunting experiences they endured. The scars of their traumatic past will undoubtedly profoundly impact their journey into adulthood. As they begin the path of healing, one can't help but wonder if they will ever find solace and rebuild their lives after enduring such darkness. Okay guys, let us know your thoughts about this bizarre incident in the comments section below. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more.